All right, let's jump straight into today's explainer. We're unpacking a massive, high-stakes cyber thriller today. It's a story about the darkest corners of the internet, an intense global manhunt, and a law enforcement sting that literally reads like a Hollywood script. We're tracking the rise and the super dramatic fall of a phantom, a digital kingpin who built a sprawling empire totally in the shadows. But, as we're going to see, even the absolute most brilliant digital masterminds have to exist in the physical world. And well, the physical world, that is exactly where mistakes happen.
So to really grasp how this whole thing unraveled, we need to drop right into the middle of the action. Picture this. It's July 5th, 2017, Bangkok, Thailand. Just a quiet, normal morning in this ultra-wealthy gated community. A multimillionaire is sitting inside his gorgeous villa, typing away on his laptop, completely oblivious that his entire life is about to shatter. Out of nowhere, boom, a huge jarring crash echoes outside. A gray Toyota Camry just smashed straight into the front gate of his property. Naturally, the guy drops what he's doing, leaves his computer wide open and running, and sprints outside to see what just happened to his house. So, you gotta wonder, how on earth does a random fender bender bring down the undisputed king of the dark web? Well, spoiler alert, it wasn't random at all. The driver of that Toyota, he was an undercover agent for the Royal Thai Police. This completely mundane, everyday physical accident was actually the highly calculated, adrenaline-pumping climax of a multi-year global manhunt. We're talking the FBI, the DEA, and police forces from all over the world. But why go to such insane lengths just to orchestrate a car crash? Well, for that, we have to look at the massive digital void this guy filled.
You see, the dark web is just a totally ruthless, fast-paced landscape. You probably remember back in 2011, the Silk Road kind of pioneered the modern dark web marketplace, right? Mixing encrypted networks with Bitcoin to sell illicit stuff. But then in 2013, the FBI seizes it, throws the founder in jail for life. You'd think that'd scare people off, but nope. It just created this massive power vacuum. Silk Road 2.0 pops up in literally 35 days, then collapses. Then comes Evolution, which ended in this huge exit scam where the founders just bolted with everyone's crypto. So by late 2014, out of all this chaos and paranoia, a brand new market emerges. It was called Alphabay, founded by this mysterious figure known only as Alpha 02. And Alphabay didn't just fill that void, it completely consumed it.
Just consider the sheer scale of this thing. 300,000. That is the staggering number of illicit listings on Alphabay by 2017. We're talking drugs, weapons, stolen credit cards, custom malware, you name it. The site operated exactly like a modern e-commerce giant. I mean, it had search functions, neat little categories, even customer dispute moderators. It was pulling in over $500,000 in sales every single day. And our guy, Alpha 02, he was skimming a 2 to 4% cutoff every single transaction. So practically overnight, he goes from being just another dark web admin to a highly sophisticated digital kingpin, a multimillionaire, hiding perfectly behind layers of heavy encryption.
For years, law enforcement was just hitting a brick wall. Alpha 02 knew every rule of the game. He routed his servers flawlessly, kept his identity a total ghost, and he just never slipped up. That is until December 2016. An anonymous tipster reached out to the DEA with this tiny, honestly comical vulnerability from the super early days of Alphabay back in 2014. Basically, whenever a new user registered, they got an automated welcome email. And for a very brief window before he caught it and fixed it, the metadata of that email revealed the creator's actual, real-life personal email address. Ready for it? pimp_alex91@hotmail.com. I mean, it is just wild to think that a multi-million-dollar dark web empire was completely undone by an old Hotmail address.
But the really crucial part is how investigators pulled on that single thread. It turned into an absolute masterclass in open source intelligence. Step 1, they take that Hotmail address. Step 2, they scour the internet and find that exact same email linked to a super old 2008 post on a French tech forum. The user? A guy named Alexander Kazes, who is literally just asking for help removing a computer virus from an image. Step 3, they link that name and email to a PayPal account, then a LinkedIn profile showing him as a tech CEO, and finally the Facebook page of his Thai fiancé. Step 4, they partner up with Thai authorities and trace his physical footprint to multiple luxury properties in Bangkok. The Phantom finally had a face. A 25-year-old Canadian named Alexander Kazes.
The irony here is just staggering. Over on the dark web, as Alpha 02, this guy was a paranoid, ultra-secure mastermind running a massive global criminal network. But in the physical world, he was unbelievably sloppy and completely ego-driven.
He's driving around Bangkok in a Lamborghini and a Porsche Panamera. He's running a front company called EBX Technologies. And get this, he spent his free time on a pickup artist forum under the username Ramio, just bragging to strangers about his money and his affairs. His physical world persona was so loud and reckless, it was the exact opposite of the invisible ghost he was online.
Now, once they actually found him, the authorities knew they couldn't just arrest Kazes. They wanted to rip his entire ecosystem out by the roots. And that brings us to Operation Bayonet. This was a totally unprecedented initiative. We're talking law enforcement from 7 different countries: the FBI, DEA, Europol, plus Dutch, German, and Thai police. Taking down a dark web server is insanely tricky. If you alert the targets even a second too early, they just encrypt their drives and poof, the evidence is gone. So this required absolutely flawless, globally synchronized timing. The sheer scale of this mobilization was off the charts. While American agents were literally shadowing Kazes through the lobbies of fancy Bangkok hotels, Dutch and German cyber intelligence units were making moves across Europe. It was this crazy coordination where physical tactical teams were prepping to strike a target in Asia, while cyber teams were getting ready to seize servers located in North America and Europe at the exact same moment. But the real genius of Operation Bayonet wasn't just the takedown, it was the secondary trap they were laying in the shadows.
Normally, standard protocol is just a yank Alphabay offline, right? Hit the switch and be done with it. But investigators knew if they did that, Alphabay's hundreds of thousands of users would just instantly migrate to the next biggest competitor. And at the time, that competitor was a European site called the Hansa Market. So in this absolute stroke of genius, the FBI told European authorities, hey, secretly hijack Hansa first. The plan was a masterpiece. Take down Alphabay publicly, spark a massive panic across the dark web, and then just sit back and watch as all those fleeing criminals stampede straight into the Hansa Market, a market that, unbeknownst to them, was now secretly controlled by the Dutch police. Which brings us to a really essential concept for this explainer, a honeypot. Back in June, Dutch police actually arrested the original German admins of Hansa and quietly took over the servers. They didn't shut the site down, no, they kept it running perfectly. They were quietly intercepting passwords, tracking direct messages, and tracing Bitcoin transactions. Basically, they built the ultimate digital trap, just waiting patiently for the FBI to kick over the hornet's nest at Alphabay.
And that brings us right back to our opening scene. July 5th, 2017. The car crash. See, authorities knew if they just kicked down Kaz's door, he'd have a few precious seconds to hit a kill switch, or at least lock his computer. And if those hard drives encrypted, they might literally never get access to the Alphabay servers. So Thai police staged that fender bender specifically to lure him outside, away from his keyboard. The second Kazes ran out to check his gate, agents swarmed him. At that exact moment, a tactical team rushed into his bedroom and secured the laptop. It was open, unencrypted, and he was logged right in as the master admin of Alphabay. The trap worked flawlessly.
With total access to that laptop, the empire basically crumbled overnight. $23 million. That is the massive fortune authorities seized from Alexander Kazes. We are talking multiple international luxury properties, a whole hotel, a fleet of high-end sports cars, and millions upon millions of dollars scattered across various cryptocurrencies. Just like that, the king of the dark web was dethroned, and the keys to his digital vault were sitting right in the hands of the FBI.
But the story of Alpha02 actually has a very sudden, very dark conclusion. Just 1 week after his arrest, on July 12, 2017, Alexander Kazes committed suicide while in a Thai holding cell waiting to be extradited. At just 25 years old, this tech prodigy, the guy who literally built a billion-dollar underground economy from his laptop, was dead, and it put a definitive, permanent end to the reign of Alphabay. But hey, remember that honeypot we talked about earlier? While the entire dark web was totally panicking over the sudden, unexplained disappearance of Alphabay, the second phase of Operation Bayonet was working like a charm. For 4 whole weeks, Dutch authorities just watched quietly as thousands of former Alphabay users flooded straight into the Hansa Market. The police collected an absolute mountain of invaluable, incriminating evidence on buyers and sellers all over the globe. Once they had every byte of data they needed, on July 20th, they finally pulled the plug on Hansa 2. They revealed the massive sting to the world, dealing this absolute devastating psychological blow to the dark web community.
Now, we do have to ground this explainer in reality. As our sources point out, while the dark web is undeniably this haven for terrible, real-world crimes, the underlying technology, things like encryption and the Tor network, it also provides a really necessary safe haven for whistleblowers or journalists living under oppressive regimes. It's a classic dual-use technology. And because of that, shutting down one site inevitably just spawns another.
The global game of cat and mouse is nowhere near over. Actually, almost as soon as Alphabet and Hansa fell, new markets like the Russian site Hydra rose right up to take their place, which eventually required their own massive global takedowns.
Which leaves us with this pretty provocative question to close out our explainer. AlphaZero2 is gone, sure, but the immense global demand for illegal goods remains completely unchanged. In fact, a user known as DSnake, who was AlphaZero2's former right-hand man, even tried to relaunch Alphabet a few years later. The Hydra always grows a new head. So, as law enforcement gets smarter and operations like Bayonet get more sophisticated, well, the criminals are evolving right along with them. Who is the next king of the dark web? And honestly, what kind of mistake will it take to bring them down? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it helped map out some of the incredible hidden realities of the digital underworld.